Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford, and this is the InspireHER Collective podcast and community for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real, usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you never miss an episode, and rate and review wherever you listen.
And if you find yourself wanting more inspiration and authenticity, visit our website to learn how to join our nationwide community. Let's dig in.
Oh, hey,
Okay, it started.
We're here. We're live. We're using a new platform. So cool. We're going to learn together, friends, because we do
Yes.
it right over here. Hey, Colleen, long time no see.
Hey, I know. I feel like I haven't seen you in 40 billion years. Where like I've been everywhere, you've been everywhere. Spring break has been happening.
Been
It's
many places I have been. Oh, the places
many.
she will go.
Yeah, it's been amazing. You were telling me you were in Legoland, and
We did
then
Legoland. We did the San
what?
Diego Zoo. We stayed on
As
Coronado
your
Island.
Oh, I love Coronado. But you know what? I'm realizing now that you have told me this, and we were chatting before, you didn't do what you normally do. You didn't give
No,
yourself a day
we got
after
back on
your
Friday.
trip.
Oh, yeah, we got back Friday and then went right into sports day on Saturday, and that was a massive mistake because then yesterday I milked a migraine all day from just going too hard too fast. And we flew too close to the sun, but we went around the moon, ladies and gentlemen, with a lady on
We
board.
we did. We did. Our lady went around the moon. Oh my God, amazing. Okay, well, let's introduce our guest because I know she wants to jump in this conversation also.
I could see her chomping at the bit. I
She's
love
like, let me talk.
it. Okay, today
Don't talk about the moon.
we have Sarah Harker here. Sarah is the City Moms co-owner, a mom of three, Illinois native, and a lover of cookbook reading, textile arts, and connecting women in meaningful ways. Her dream day off includes her kids, a stack of library books, and no to-do list in sight. Sign me up. As the Chief Growth Officer for the City Moms, Sarah drives brand growth through strategic partnerships, new market expansion, and community engagement. She's passionate about building bridges between moms and the brands, resources, and networks that help them thrive, both online and in real life. Welcome to the party.
Yay, welcome.
Thank
We're
you.
so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to get to talk today. I usually get to just listen to you girls and talk at you in my car.
We love
Oh my
that,
God,
though.
that's
Thank
our
you.
favorite thing. I had two pre-show interviews today, and I was kind of like walking people through, and I was like, one of the things people love, one of the things our listeners love about the show is that they feel like they're part of the conversation. And we get that feedback all the time that people are in their car going like, no, that's what I think too. And they're like, yeah, but they can't, like, we're not talking back to them. So
Yes,
now you get to do it in real life, Sarah.
here we are. I'm so excited.
Okay, so Sarah's one of my very good friends here in Indy and also a consultant of mine. And there's a lot that we can talk about and I want to talk about. But one of the things I really wanted to talk about was Sarah was an integral part of like me acquiring Indy Maven and helping me put the pieces together because she does a lot for City Moms, but what we didn't talk about in her bio is she's also a consultant for women and women owned businesses and women like high achieving, high level women and kind of helping them market, helping them get the resources that they need. And part of that consultancy is also helping women build businesses that they can then sell and have an exit strategy for. And I think that is like something I don't hear a lot about in my sphere and in my circle. And so, when I was had this great idea to buy a media company, Sarah was like, "Oh, great. I know everyone you need to talk to," and kind of connected me with the right people and guided me in that way because, I think we've talked about this before, like I've built a lot of businesses from scratch, but acquiring a pre-existing business is like a whole other thing that I had no idea about. And Sarah connected me to a business development consultant and a acquisitions attorney. And, I would love, Sarah, for you to kind of like talk us through like that whole process and how did you even get into that? Because your background is similar to mine, where you kind of started in healthcare And Sarah is a nurse, was or is.
Technically still am, but I don't practice nursing.
Okay. Okay. But you're
It's one
still
of those things
licensed, technically.
I'm still licensed. It's one of those things you can't take out, I think. I always say I will not use that license unless, the world is on fire, but that's a little scary to say these days as the world
Yeah.
is on fire.
Not, that's literally not
Right.
hyperbolic anymore. That's like actual.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I've been a nurse for a long time. I was a cardiac nurse for 10 years. And I kind of realized that I was taking care of my coworkers as much as I was taking care of my patients and enjoyed that more. And so that was kind of my first push out of my comfort zone of the healthcare world. And I started a company to help prevent burnout in healthcare prior to COVID. So you can
Wow.
imagine how that shifted in the middle of COVID as well. And ended up consulting with a healthcare company to help doctors and nurse practitioners start their own practices without insurance. So they take like a membership fee and then you have direct access to them instead of having to go through all the hoops that we were talking about right before we went on here about getting a hold of
Yes.
your physician, and really enjoyed that. That's where I met one of our mutual friends that I introduced Colleen to, who
Yeah.
helps with that M&A role. And I helped over 40 practices get going across the nation with that and realized, hey, I really like this and I'm pretty darn good at it. So,
Sarah, tell people what M&A is because maybe they don't know what
Thank
that
you.
is.
oh,
I
sure,
had
for
no idea.
mergers and acquisitions. So, whenever someone's built a business and they're ready to sell, whether they're merging it with another business, which happens a lot of times with bigger companies, or if they're just completely handing it off, like what Colleen and Bobna did with Indie Maven, an acquisition.
Yeah. And so you kind of like almost like niched yourself into this world of being able to like understand how to work with people, which I think you inherently get when you work in healthcare, right? Like
Right.
I think that's a really interesting background. And like my background in healthcare and sports medicine, people are always like, how is that relevant to what you do? It's like, well, guess what,
Oh,
like
so relevant.
we learn how to like manage like emergency situations. We learn how to manage people's emotions. We learn how to care for people and get, like all of those things. So everything that you're doing from this cardiac nursing to then really care for people and also understand like how to get them through the steps that they need in order to get better or succeed in business, I think is like so relevant. Okay, so you were working in and developing healthcare businesses, and then how did that transition into like, I really want to work with like women, I really want to work with women in business, like how did that, or did that just kind of like inherently come about because of your amazing personality and love for connecting people?
It was a little bit of both. So when I started my company, I waited to get involved because I was a little bit nervous about getting around competitive people. And I just thought
Mm,
that's gonna like take it out. I'm competitive, but with myself of like wanting, to keep going. And collaboration is really important to me. And I found the exact opposite in Indianapolis that's full of collaborative women that want to see you
mm,
succeed and want to take you along with them, which is incredible. So one of the things I found when I was going through working with the healthcare consulting company was that there were many women in business that once they got to the acquisition side or didn't and just closed their doors because they didn't know there was another option. They would just hand the keys over to someone like, oh, this is all I've got. I don't know what else to do. The first person that comes along. And there's very few women in mergers and acquisitions, at least in this area.
yeah,
And so we all know how fun that is to work with people who talk down to you and don't want to teach you and that
men
type of thing.
basically.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. But I had found some relationships through that consulting company that was the opposite of that and really fed into women and empowered women and wanted to teach me how to empower more people through mergers and acquisitions. And I realized that's something that I really love. I went through a couple with them and just it lit me on fire. It's so exciting to watch people become more confident with themselves, see what they've built is so valuable, and go through that extremely stressful process. I'm not trying to make it sound better than it is. It is very stressful, and
Yeah.
you had quite the fast one compared to normal.
Yeah, ours was we engaged in October and closed in December, which was like insanely
Crazy.
fast. But also like yeah, it was a much I don't want to say smaller, but like we did what what I learned is called an asset acquisition. So we were buying pieces of the business versus the whole thing.
Mhm.
Um, and that was it felt very long for us, but like very, very quick in the grand scheme of things. And one of the things that I think, Sarah, you have done, which I think is really cool, is you've really found, for lack of a better term, allies, like these two incredible men in Dane and Patrick. But we can give them a shout out. They run Enable, which is an amazing company here out of Indy, but I'm sure they work nationwide. I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
they're everywhere.
uh,
You're right. They're
okay.
nationwide.
I'm just making it up as I go here. But anyway, and they were so empowering and like never dismissive and never like uh what the hell is this? What is this company you're even buying? This sounds lame, blah blah. But very honest about it too. Like, yeah, I think this could be really great, but here are also some things to look out for, or here's how we want to like guide this, and we don't, to make sure you're not paying too much for this business, or what is it worth, or and really guiding that. And I think that was, as somebody who's never done this before, and quite frankly doesn't very often like to work with men, it was nice to have a partner in that with you
Yeah.
and with them.
I think what makes them stand out is that they're curious and they're always learning. So they might not just dismiss something and say, oh, that won't work, or that's not how that goes. It's tell me why you think that works, or tell me more about that. They don't try to pretend like they know everything. They're both very curious and willing to learn and willing to teach, which is fabulous. They definitely are partners, not people who are walking over you, which I'm really grateful for. And Dane is a mentor of mine that I've learned so much through, and it's been so fun getting to work alongside them with other women in business. It just, like I said, I just saw a real need for that here of being able to connect those people with other allies and people who are rooting for them rather than them feeling so just helpless and not knowing what the next step is.
And inviting people to a conversation that maybe they didn't even know was a thing, I think is really
Right?
important. Like when I
Yeah.
I had my construction company in LA, quite frankly, I should have sold that. I mean, I had contracts, we left in 2021. I had signed contracts through 2023 for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I turned them over to other contractors without even a referral fee, without even like a finding fee. But I think sometimes, especially when you're in a situation where like you feel very burnt out in your own business, and that was very honestly the case, and I don't want to speak for her, but like very honestly the case with Indy Maven is like she wasn't going to sell it, she was just going to close it until we approached her to buy. um and I think, you know women create a lot of business, we create a lot of businesses, and so often we never think about the fact that like we could sell that business and somebody else might want to buy what you've built. And I don't have the stats, but I would, I didn't come with any stats. Surprise,
I mean,
surprise, everybody.
just make them up,
Just
Colleen.
say
You should
whatever
do.
you want. Say whatever you want. But I would say there's probably a large percentage of women owned businesses that were started that then just closed because there aren't these types of conversations being had about merging, about having them be sold or acquired or anything. And the very interesting thing is once you dip your toe into this, just like anything else, you start to see it everywhere you go, and you start to be in the rooms where people are having the conversation. I'm speaking at a conference with Dane and Patrick at the end of the in May about acquisitions, because apparently that's what I do now. Because right. And I know, Sarah, they asked you to speak at that as well. It's like, but the other cool thing is that like once you're in these rooms and you find the right people, they're just like you were saying, like they are people that are taking you along, and then they want you to be, and they're creating opportunities for you. But now everywhere I go, I'm like, what else was that business for sale? Like what, David, in looking in transition, I'm like, could he buy a pre-existing business instead of starting one from scratch? Like that's something that now is even on the radar, which is why I think it's important that we have these conversations, and why you're here, Sarah. Other than that, I just love you and you're so fun to talk to. Is that like, I want to throw that out to our audience is like, one, if you have a business that you're ready to move on from, please don't close it. Please sell it. You might not be able to, but please try, right? Two, build a business that you can then sell. And that's something that Sarah and I have been working on with even my real estate team, is like, how do I create a business that then I has an exit plan, right? Like that there's some sort of exit from, in case I don't want to sell real estate when I'm 75. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the goal for me. I don't want to sell real estate when I'm 75. Some people do. Great, respect. But how can I build a business that then has a brand, has a book of business, has everything that is like worth something to somebody else that they would want to buy? And the same thing with Indie Maven and Inspire Her and all of these other things. Like, I think going into it with an exit plan is like something that I didn't ever think of until more recently. And I think that that makes a difference in how you're building your business as well, right? Because, oh, hey, Cheryl,
Oh, hey, Colleen.
question for you. You and I have created this really awesome community of women nationally. They're amazing. Like, honestly, the best listeners, community members, people, i- women in the country. We have 4 men, maybe. If I were a business, large or small, and I wanted to also capture that amazing community and let them know about what I do, what might I do that?
We have ad sponsorship availability options, and you can just navigate to our website, theinspirehercollective.com, and find the section of our website where you can apply to be a sponsor or have an ad on the podcast.
Do I have to be a big corporate company in order to do that?
No, we have all levels of sponsorships available.
And if I am a big corporate company, can I also do that?
Yeah, you absolutely can.
Please do. Please
Absolutely.
do.
Do that.
Amazing. We love, Cheryl, we love a systems and process, right? But like, your systems and processes have to be right and tight if you're going to try to franchise, or you're going to try to, I mean, we're learning that with Inspire Her as well, right? The more we do Inspire Her, the more members. We have a new chapter. We can announce that, right, Cheryl? Can we
Yeah,
announce
let's
that?
do it.
We have a new
Maui in the
we have
house.
a yes, we have a new chapter in Maui. And like, every time we onboard somebody else, we're learning something about those systems and processes. And and I think, like, having somebody guiding you and even telling you like, hey, yo, this is a thing. It's like really important. I'll shut up
I
now.
love that. I'm going to put that on the website. Yo, this is a thing.
Yeah, I think you should. Direct quote, actual review, 5-star review. Yo, this is a thing. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just gave business away. Hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business. Gave it away to some fucking guy in LA. I was like,
Maybe it's
here.
too late to call for that finder's fee.
Yeah, I guess. It's
This
too
happens
bad.
all the time. What's surprising to me is I saw a lot in healthcare where these people would just be in these huge corporations and then they decide to leave and their patients stay with that corporation. Whereas if you own it, you sell, each patient is worth a certain amount because you've already done the work to build that practice. So it's really interesting. And how many, I would love to know the stats too on that, how many women as compared to men walk away from that money and aren't taught about it. So
Are you
definitely a need.
primarily working with women? I know in City Moms, that's your target demographic. Is it the same when you're working
Yeah,
in consulting?
I'm kind of like Colleen. That's my preference. Yeah. So for those of you who don't know City Moms, we work with brands to get them in front of the decision makers, which are moms. And Janine, my partner, started it about 12 years ago. And fun story that not many people know, I was actually pitching City Moms, first Janine, who was ready for a new chapter of something, to someone else, and they declined. And my very frugal, loving husband heard me talking to Patrick, our attorney that Colleen was speaking about earlier. And he said, "Are we dumb not to buy this?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, but I didn't want to force you into something." And he was like, "No, I think we need to do this." So like really quickly, I called Janine and I'm like, "Don't do anything else. What if I do this with you?" And I had been a part of it for almost 8 years as a consumer and as her plus one to anything and everything. And she was like, "What? Are you kidding?" And then it kind of snowballed from there. And then I think this is an important part of the story with that, because I feel especially women who are in straight relationships, you get into a lot of that money combo with your husband and your spouse. And if they don't support you, that's a whole other world. So thankfully, my husband was really supportive. But again, that was very out of character for what I would expect from him on the financial side with that of us doing this together. but his company that he worked for was also being purchased at the same time. And he got a bonus from that was the exact amount of money that we had settled on for City Moms.
Wow.
And that came the day that we signed the papers for City Moms. So it was like, it still gives me chills to this day. So it was like just a confirmation of like, when that happened, I was like, oh, so we're not just like trying this, like this is happening. When you get a confirmation like that, it's like, no, we're going all in. So I think just, especially as women, since we have, such relational relationships, can you say that?
Yeah,
You know
you
what I
say
mean?
that. You say whatever you want.
Sure. So we're so relational. I think keeping that in mind too, of a lot of times you never know what's going to happen. Like every day now I get to work with one of my best friends, and I know Colleen, that you're in the same boat there, and you guys together are getting to build this with InspireHER as well, which is amazing. So just keeping that at the forefront of opportunities all around for you.
Can you tell us about what that transition into leadership and like ownership of that company was like partnering with your
Sure.
bestie? Were you besties
Yeah.
prior to?
So yeah, we were really good friends. I'll try and keep this story short, but we met at a business coaches dinner party. And I had been following Janine for a really long time on the City Moms and thought like, oh, she's so cool, but like, I don't want to bother her. People probably like bother her all the time. And then by the end of that night, I think, at like many entrepreneurial dinners with women, everyone's talking about how isolating entrepreneurship is, especially when
Yeah.
it's your first business. And I remember just thinking, like, I cannot believe that, like, she would be lonesome. Like, I would think she'd be so tired of people, bothering her all the time. And so that was the day that I had decided to leave nursing. And
Mm.
she wrote down the date I was turning in my resignation and texted me. It was like a month after the party. I was like, congrats on your resignation. And we were pretty much inseparable ever since then. So, yeah, I was a big fan of the City Moms, and we had already been hanging out, for maybe 6 or 7 years before this opportunity came up, just as like bouncing ideas off of each other of like, what would you do in this situation? How would you handle this? And it's just an invaluable relationship that's not like any others that I have. It's probably similar to what you two have, of it's both business and friendship, which is pretty unique. And there's not
Yeah.
really one more than the other. It's pretty 50-50, I'd say.
Right.
And yeah, so once we decided to do that, it was a year ago last week that was my year anniversary for City Moms. So I would say we're just now really starting to feel out who's owning what and feeling really confident and, oh, this is mine, this is yours, and coming together for advice. But it definitely took a good year to figure out the niche of where we wanted to be focused.
As you do this and like have the background of the consulting and the exit strategies, and like, what are you bringing in to City Moms that historically wasn't there, and what are you
Yeah.
doing to prepare yourselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in 2020, when COVID hit, City Moms really went through a huge transition and it just exploded. I think we'd have to ask Janine on this, but I feel like when I started following, there were under 10,000 followers. And after COVID, it was towards the 100,000s, and it really went national. It started as a membership group when Janine moved here from Michigan just to meet other people. And she has a lot of background in advertising and marketing. And it just slowly moved that way towards marketing and media after 2020. So, and that was when I was involved with things as well, more on the consumer side and the content creation team. And now that I've come on in the past year, we've really pushed hard on that national growth. So I came in as the chief growth officer. And so we have grown a crazy amount.
We hope you enjoyed part 1 of this discussion. We'll see you next week when we wrap it up with part 2. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth. Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business. And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Remember, we're doing this right.
Right?